Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go through some slides. We'll stop a little bit throughout to kind of go over some stuff. I do have all sorts of parts, and I'm going to show you guys how all of those parts go together, how they work. That's going to be the indoor portion, and then I also have some stuff over here on the floor for the outdoor portion as well, kind of split it up a little bit. But like I said, we're going to go first go through some slides, and we'll kind of just work our way through building a Greywater system and learning what Greywater is, and just getting you really familiar with those types of, or with that type of system. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint slide, and then we'll start kind of going through it. Okay. All right, so like I said, we're going to start with going through some PowerPoint slides. I did want to thank Napa RCD for being one of our hosts tonight, and also the library for being also one of our partners through this workshop. You know, as Ann said, they've been doing an 18-month educational water system series, and this is just another part of that series. So definitely just wanted to give a big thanks to Napa RCD and the library as well. All right, so got that out of the way. Now we're going to get on to the good stuff. All right, so today actually is Imagine a Day Without Water. I believe it's the 6th annual Day Without Water. So I did want to just kind of point that out so people do know what today is. And out of the spirits of Imagine a Day Without Water, we're going to do a trivia question where you can win these 3 items. So it's a series of 3 books with a DVD, excellent books. So this is one of them right here. This is our reference copy. And then there is 2 other books that go with it, and as well a DVD. So you should be able to get any type of information that you need out of that and build your own Greywater system. So it's going to be, we're going to give two prizes away. It's going to be the first to answer the correct answer on Zoom, and the first person to answer the correct answer on Facebook. I do know that there's a little bit of a delay, so we wanted to be fair to people. So both sites get an equal opportunity to win the prize. Okay. All right. So, oh yes. So you'll want to type that into either your Facebook chat or your Zoom chat. Okay. All right. So here is the trivia question. What is the largest use of water in the U.S.? All right. Give you guys a second to answer that. I'm gonna pull up my screen. How do I pull up my screen here so that I can see Ashley?
Can you see me now, Josh? I'm here.
No, I can't.
Can you tell us when you
just
have it?
Yeah, just go ahead and tell me when you have it.
We have our first person in Zoom, and there's a bit of a delay, so let me see.
No worries. We'll wait a second for that Facebook Live person to win their prize. No problems.
As of right now, we have 4 people watching, but only 1 person put in a comment, and the person has not gotten the right answer. So,
oh boy.
We will wait, and maybe the first person who gets it, you know, when they view it later, they can get the prize on Facebook. So, but our first place prize winner here on Zoom is, I promise it's not rigged, it's Reiner, who is a Napa RCD board member. So congratulations, Reiner.
Nice, good job. Not yet.
And I'll make sure we get that all hooked up with you, Reiner. He says thank you. So Josh, I'll go ahead and turn that back over to you.
Okay, so should I just go ahead and move forward and let everybody know what the answer is? Okay, perfect. All right, so thank you everybody for participating in that. Thank you, Ryder from the RCD, for getting the correct answer. And the correct answer is generating electricity for power. that is the largest use of water in the United States. Not surprising. You would think it would be irrigation, agriculture, but it's not. It's generating electricity through power. Fortunately, California uses, and the United States uses a lot of power, and we have to generate it one way. So one way we do it is through hydroelectricity. So awesome. All right, great job, guys. All right, so now we're going to actually move on to the, workshop and learning about what a laundry landscape is. All right, so first slide is, how do we use water? How do we use water? All right, well, a lot of indoor use is 35% in the shower and bath, 30% toilet flushing, 20% laundry, 10% kitchen and drinking, and 5% cleaning. So your largest indoor use is going to be your shower and your bath, which is an important topic if you are going to install Greywater system, a more high-tech Greywater system for your bathroom. I will cover that a little bit farther on in the presentation, but shower and baths are very high water users. Toilet flushing is really close. It used to be the #1 until some of the plumbing codes kind of changed, and then the water consumption started dropping in indoor homes. 92, it used to be a 3.5 gallon toilet. After 92 happened, plumbing codes changed, and it went down to a 1.6. Nowadays, 1.28 is considered high efficiency, and you can actually get toilets like I have at my own personal house, like a Niagara Stealth Assist, which is a 0.8 gallon per flush toilet. So it's not even a full gallon of water. Great toilets. I haven't had any problem with them. So that is your two biggest water consumers in your house. But today we're actually looking at the laundry to landscape, which is still a very big user in your home, which is 20%. So that's kind of why we're focusing on the laundry to landscape. It's your easiest way to make a Greywater system without requiring permits, kind of really getting a really expensive Greywater system in your home. Unfortunately, to do bathtubs and showers and sinks, bathroom sinks, usually cost in between $10,000 and $20,000 for the system to be put in, and permits requiring and all that type of stuff. So it is something good to consider since it is 35% of your household use. However, with those things in mind, doing a laundry to landscape where you don't require permits, and it's much, much cheaper, you can do it yourself. It's a much easier way to do and cost effective. And you also get a 20% drop in your indoor water consumption. So that's one excellent way to go. All right, next slide. So why Greywater? Well, our municipal water has a carbon footprint. So what's a carbon footprint? Well, it's the consumption of electricity, things of that nature. 19% of electricity is used in California and related to water. Reusing water already used and paid, and basically that you've already paid for, produces the embodiment energy nexus, per use. So you're kind of getting 2 uses out of the water that you've already paid for, which reduces the carbon footprint and helps you in your bill and also with conserving water. So that's one couple main reasons why Greywater is a good way to go. All right, what is Greywater? So a lot of people don't quite understand what Greywater is. Sometimes they think it's black water, or which is sewage. Technically, you can kind of get into the realm when you start dealing with dishwater and kitchen sink water. It's not considered Greywater because you have all sorts of food particles and those types of things in that water, germs as well. So sink water from your kitchen is not considered Greywater. However, shower and bathtub water is Greywater. Wash machine water, which is what we're talking about tonight, and also bathroom sinks. Those are all 3 areas where Greywater is made in your home. So showers, baths, wash machines, bathroom sinks. Everything else is going to be considered black water or septic water. All right. Gray water is not. Well, I kind of already went over that a little bit. Toilets, which is septic, not considered gray water. Kitchen sinks, also not considered gray water. Dishwashers, there we go. Also not considered gray water. Washing certain items in your wash machine can be considered not gray water. However, that has to do with the clothing that you are washing. So when you are doing dirty diapers or oily type of clothes or clothes with chemicals on them, there is a three-way valve on your gray water system, which allows you to divert that water into your sewer instead of out to your yard to contaminate your yard. So if you did have some dirty types of washing loads, you just divert it instead of sending it out to your yard. So that technically is considered, you can consider that not gray water, but as long as you're using laundry that doesn't contain those items, it is gray water. So, all right, caution, gray water can contain pathogens. Definitely don't want to get pathogens, washing clothes with blood, etc. So those types of things you might want to divert out to the sewer instead of sending those types of pathogens out to your yard. Gray water may have chemicals in it, so like I said, oil-soaked clothing, etc. You would want to divert that type of material out to the sewer. And then when you actually do get it out to your yard, you don't want it to pond. So gray water can actually turn septic relatively fast, within 24 hours, which is why you can't store gray water unless you build one of the really high-tech, expensive gray water systems like I was talking about, the $10,000 to $20,000 systems. I have a little mock display of one so you can kind of get an idea of what would go into that. But that's just to kind of show you what it is so that you can see how much actually goes with a household gray water system compared to your laundry landscape, which is really not a whole lot of material needed to get going. So the storing it, all that type of stuff, you don't need to do and don't want to do unless you have a filtration system, because it does go septic. Okay, so some of the benefits of using gray water: saving potable water. Can't really go wrong with saving potable water. Potable water is any water basically coming out of your house. Any drinking water is considered potable water. Any water coming out of your hose, any water you're using for showering or bathing or washing food, all of that is considered potable water. So when you use gray water, you're reducing your water really usage in a different area, but you're still doubling up on using that water instead of using potable water to irrigate outside for your garden and those types of things. You would go ahead and save a little bit of potable water. You're technically using it twice. Well, laundry, it's not really using it twice, but you're still you're washing your clothes and then you're sending it out to your yard. So it's two uses. It also reduces the demand on your septic system and on waste treatment plants. So that's an excellent thing. The less water going down the toilet or down the sewer drain and the more water going out to your yard helps everybody, helps your septic system, also helps our treatment plant not have to treat excess amounts of water. It also encourages plant-friendly product choices. We'll kind of go over the types of plants that you can plant and use gray water for. You don't want to just go all out and use gray water for anything. Like I said, we'll go over that. And then like the last one is growing food to your own property. We'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, so what is your gray water production? All right, so gray water production, you do need to think about this when you are building your system. If you have a newer wash machine, newer wash machines use about in between 15 and 20 gallons per load. It's much, much less than the older wash machines that use about in between 40 and 60 gallons of water. So the old wash machine's much, much higher use. So if you do have a newer one, you do need to kind of consider how much you're going to be able to use to go out to your yard. The formula would be number of loads of laundry, gallons per load, and that's going to equal your production. So if your wash machine's running 15 gallons per load and you do six loads of laundry a day, or whatever the number is, you times those two together, which is going to give you your gray water production. Typically, you want to use about 1 gallon of water per square foot of area. So you do need to plan accordingly when you're building your gray water system. You don't want to build too big a gray water system and not produce enough water to actually flow out to all those areas, because then you're just wasting money and you're wasting your time. All right, so this guy is just a diagram of a whole house irrigation system. You see bathtubs, you see sinks, and kind of how it can branch out to your yard. Now, I understand that, you know, this is one of those systems that's going to cost in between $10,000 and $20,000, and that's not what we're doing today. However, I did want to show what it actually could do if you did. So reusing gray water for your home it can reduce in between 16 and 40% of your actual outdoor water consumption. So you can definitely get a humongous savings, but the cost is pretty large to get a gray water system. Water is relatively cheap. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but when you actually start doing the math per gallons of water, it's very cheap. It's very cheap. I know we live in California, and a lot of people don't think water is all that cheap, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're talking about $15,000 or $20,000 to how much water you actually use, your return on your investment would be pretty far off. But if you care about the environment and you care about conserving water and you want to build a whole gray water system for your house, by all means, it does require a few more hoops to jump through. You do need to get permitting. You'd have to go to the building department, get a plumbing permit. You'd also have to hire a company to install the system. It's most likely a certified gray water company that has all the licensing, so that you don't have any cross connection or contaminants. That's really what the permits and the concern is with home gray water systems, is people somehow tapping into the potable water line and contaminating everything. Now, the possibility that happens, it's pretty slim. It could happen though, so we do have to protect our water supply, which is why we require permits and the extra lengths that you have to go for getting a whole house. Your laundry to landscape, you don't really have the ability to tap into your water supply, really, because your wash machine needs to dump the water somewhere. Regardless, it's dumping the water into your sewer if you're washing clothes. So you can either, one way or another, you're using that water and it's going somewhere. You have a sewer outlet for your wash machine, and it's either going down the sewer or it's going out to your yard with a gray water system. So the cross-contamination issues really aren't too high of a concern. So that is what a whole system looks like. This right here is a very, very small, really dumbed down mock display of what an indoor system would look like. So you can see to the, I guess it would be my left, it looks like a sink that is a display of a kitchen sink. And below that is basically a holding tank and filtration area. So you would pump it, you would drain down into that tank, then you would run it through a filter and then pump it basically back into that storage tank. So you do need filters and treatment type of devices so that the water doesn't go septic on you. Once you treat it and it goes through that filter, you then can store it because you've taken out all the particles and the pathogens and those types of things, so that you can store it and it doesn't get really stinky on you. Because that's really the concern with the water going septic so fast, is the smell and also the breeding of bacteria and those types of things that you don't want. You know, a sump basin to collect the gray water at your house, a pump to push the water through a filter, which removes the particles, a filter that automatically flushes. It's a backflow device, really. It's a device so that water can't go backwards into the system. Why they want a backflow on it, when it's not connected to a potable water supply. I'm not sure. I guess they don't want it going back into your tank after it's made its way out. But in any case, backflow device would be there. And then the last one would be drip, basically tubing out to your yard to get to your plants. And then, like I said before, the cost is in between $10,000 and $20,000. That is a very, very dumbed down mock display of what a system looks like. If in reality, there's all sorts of controllers and different things that are connected to it so that it runs correctly. That is just to show you the filter and the storage tank, really. But in any case, we're not going to be really going over that because we're doing laundry landscape. I just wanted to let you guys know that there is other avenues if you wanted to do an entire house, but the cost is there. So. Okay, so laundry and landscape, which is what we're here for tonight. I know I kind of talked about a bunch of other stuff and got you guys kind of familiar about what it is, but now we're actually going to be talking about what the system is, how to build it, and kind of get you going from there. So this guy right here is an overview of what the Greywater system looks like. Very, very dumbed down. Doesn't require all the filters and pumps and all that type of stuff to get you going. Really, your wash machine is your pump. The cost of the material, a couple $100 if you do it yourself. I've heard about $700 if you hire somebody to do it. That seems kind of steep to me. But personally, I would do it myself if I was going to do it. This guy shows you tube coming off the wash machine, goes up into that three-way valve, and then it branches off, goes down into sewer, and goes out to the irrigation with an anti-siphon on top. I do have anti-siphon stuff. I have the three-way valve. I'll show you guys all that type of stuff. And then I'll also, once we get a little bit farther into the outdoor stuff, I'll show you past the indoor stuff. On the diagram, you can kind of see the PVC going out to the different trees and then the basins around the trees. We'll kind of go over that. All right, so this is a closer view of what the system, the indoor portion of the system looks like. Really, really dumbed down, like I said before. It's not very high tech. Pretty much anybody can do this project if you take into some things into consideration. So that guy right there is really the indoor display of what the Greywater system looks like. All right, so this is your three-way valve. So I guess I'll start showing you guys some of the parts, and then we can kind of keep moving through it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Or I guess I'm going to stop sharing. Hey, Ashley, I stopped sharing, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. All right, so the heart of this entire, I guess, project would be this guy right here. This is your three-way valve. When you're buying a three-way valve, it's very important. You can get three-way valves for when you close them, it doesn't give you a full flow. It kind of tapers down, kind of like a round ball. So you need to get one that flows all the way through. It doesn't have any tapering down on it. These valves are about $50, $60. This is probably the most expensive piece of the entire system right here. You can set it up to the side, or you could set it up this way, just as long as your tube coming off your wash machine goes in either into the middle part, the portion of this. So what would happen is this is basically the tube coming off your wash machine, a clean version of your wash machine. We'll say the wash machine's off to the side so you don't see it. So it's out here. This piece kind of would come up and connect into this, like so. All right, just like that. So this is the first step in getting your Greywater system hooked up. You gotta get yourself the source of water, which is how this works. So the other side's connected to your wash machine, and your wash machine has a pump on it already. So it pumps that water out, and typically this hose would go down into your septic, into a drain pipe or a sink, those types of things. I've seen sinks, I've seen you know, normal drain lines. You know, really it just goes out to the sewer. So this, if this wasn't here, this piece would just go straight down into the sewer. The wash machine pumps the water right down into it. Instead, we're doing that, we're hooking it in, and then we're taking these two types of connectors right here. You have threads on, oops, let's go down a little bit. You have threads on one side, open on the other, so you do have to glue PVC to this side. I would recommend using Teflon tape around this around the threads. So you Teflon tape it in, you'd screw them in. On both sides. So you have your beginning pieces to actually get you to start being able to build your Greywater system. So that's the beginning right there. You can see your shut off. Yeah, this is actually your diverter valve. So when you do it up, it's going to either go out to your irrigation system, or when you close it, it's going to go out to the sewer system. So that is your first step. Get yourself a couple pieces of PVC pipe, hook on each side. And then you also want to get some pipe straps as well, so you can strap it to the wall so that you don't get any, when the pump's hitting this thing, it doesn't jar it. You want it to be nice and tight against the wall. Put your two straps on like so. All right, so now you're starting to get this thing built now. Then you get yourself a T, hook that guy in. This side, it would be going out to your irrigation system. This side would be going down into your septic system. So you take, I just went ahead and built just a little downward piece. So this piece right here would go into your sewer system, or just drain into a sink, however you have your outlet portion for your wash machine. So that's how you would set up this section. You strap it to the wall, get your pieces in, hook it up, set it down into your sewer system. That way you have one of your areas, so that if you do have those types of clothes with, you know, pathogens or oil or chemicals, you hit that valve, close it so it doesn't go out to your irrigation system. It goes that direction to your sewer system. That way you don't kill any of your plants. And then if you want to run it out to your irrigation system, close that guy, close it off, go in this direction, open it, go in that direction. And I'm going to set this down for 1 second, because very important, one of the most important actual things of this is your anti-siphon. So I pulled it apart so you can see that it is 3 pieces. Okay, this piece right here goes into this guy. They typically sell these in a pack, so that there isn't a whole lot of confusion. This is called an anti-siphon valve. Take this guy right here. You slide it into this one. That way you can glue in here, and you can glue this down onto your PVC pipe. This is your anti-siphon piece right here. You would take that and screw that into this portion. What this does is it makes it so that you cannot create a vacuum. You don't want to create a vacuum on your system. It's kind of like a gallon of milk. You dump that gallon of milk upside down, the inside starts to pull in because it's creating a vacuum on your system. You don't want that. It's going to be hard on your pipe or your discharge line coming out of your wash machine. Going into that 3-way valve, it can actually start to kind of compress down that tube. So you really don't want to do that. Like I said, it's like a gallon of milk. You flip that gallon of milk upside down, it starts sucking in the bottle. But if you poke a hole in the top of that milk jug, pressure releases and all that water or all that milk pours out. That's what this does. It creates basically air. It makes it so that air can get flowing through it so you don't create that vacuum effect. So you take this piece over to your system. You're fine. You can go ahead. You can drop it. It's all good. No worries. Thank you, though. So you would take this. You would hook that onto the top. Now keep in mind, this portion of it is the portion that goes out to your irrigation system. This has to be the highest point of your system. So if you can actually do these if you live in a 2-story house. You just would need one of these to be pretty tall. And I've actually seen in books, and I haven't seen it in person, but I have seen it in slides and things of that nature, where people have used their anti-siphon for an upstairs. It's on the outside of the building or of their home, but it's like an entire floor. You know, it's 10 feet or more of PVC with this on the top. You know, like I said, this has to be above your wash machine so that it can help break that suction. So this right here, scoot back so everybody can see it. This is your fully built indoor portion of your Greywater system. You know, the $10,000 to $20,000 system, when you can look at this is in between $55 and $60 right here. A piece of, you know, PVC is in between $5 and $10 for all of this stuff. Your anti-siphon is probably $5 at the most, and then all your connection pieces, you know, they're 60 cents to $1 depending on what type of piece. So the price to build this, you know, is not really all that much. I mean, under $100 you can build this entire indoor section of your Greywater system. Now that you're going to have to buy some outdoor pieces as well, so your cost is going to go up a little bit. However, your indoor set should run you under $100 to get it done. And this one you wouldn't even have to buy. This one would be coming off your wash machine anyways, because like I said before, this piece would be going down into a sewer drain line already. So all you have to do is look in the back of your wash machine, see where this pipe's going, pull that out of the drain line or the sewer, wherever it's dumping into, and you would hook it into this. So you already have this piece. Everything else is relatively cheap to purchase. So that is your full indoor, basically, section of your Greywater system. This side right here, you would hook a PVC line and you would run it out to your whatever area you want to irrigate. Now keep in mind, you do not want to run things uphill. Your wash machine is a pump, and you don't want to start trying to pump water uphill. You need to have a gradual slope, or at least have it flat so that the wash machine can do its job and pump the water out. If you start to pump uphill, you can destroy the pump on your wash machine and kill your wash machine. So you do not want to do that. You want to make sure that you are going downhill, or at least at a flat level to deliver that water. Gravity is a crazy thing, and gravity really helps water. So that's another reason why you want to have it at least flat or a slight slope, so that gravity can kind of help it work its way out there along with the pump. So that guy is your full indoor built portion. This section, this piece right here, would actually connect. Once this piece would be much longer, because it's going to be running outside, because you would have to drill a hole in your wall or your vent, or however you're going to get this tube out through whatever room your wash machine is in. This is a very small piece. Now keep in mind, this would be much larger, but this piece is to help break the system apart so that you can flush it later and clear out your system. I'll show you how this works a little bit later, and pull it apart so you can kind of see, and there's some slides a little bit later on to kind of showing you what that does. Okay, all right, so that is your full indoor built indoor built full section of your Greywater. So we're going to go over a few more slides. Then we'll talk about the outdoor portion. We'll kind of bring it all together, and then kind of just keep moving forward. Okay, so like I was telling you guys, you can see in red coming off your wash machine, that is your drain line coming off your wash machine. It goes up into the middle portion of your throughway valve, like I showed you guys already. That's what this guy's doing right here. And then one direction goes out to your sewer, one direction goes out to your irrigation. Keep in mind, remember, this side always has to go to the irrigation side. Okay. All right, so this display is just the connection pieces that you would need. It's going to be this piece here, this piece, your pipe straps, your barbed tee for the bottom portion of your throughway valve to connect onto your drain, your wash machine drain line, and then also a pipe. It's what I guess it's kind of a pipe clamp is what that would be. So that's just a display of the device or the parts that you actually would need. But we've kind of already gone over that. So okay, sometimes your hose. This is actually a good info. Sometimes when your wash machine hose doesn't always look like this. It can look like the one in the picture. Well, the one in the picture, you still have to get over these barbs. So one just insight that you can use to try to get these over the barbs is heat up that plastic, make it a little bit soft, just in some hot water, and then you can kind of work it over those barbs. It's actually good if it's a tight fit. It has less chances of popping off, but you still want to get your pipe clamp on there just to hold it on to be on the safe side. Okay, so just some more tips. Make sure that you use a barbed tee or a barbed nipple for your bottom part so that it really gets a nice good connection. The vinyl tubing, that's what this is. Like I said, you can go with the other type that's not a vinyl. This one I believe is vinyl, but honestly, just go with whatever is on your wash machine. There's no need to go out and buy another one of these when you already have one that's working on your wash machine already. And then make sure that you use pipe clamps on both ends as well. You don't want any chances of this guy working its way out. And if you don't put those clamps on your PVC, this thing can work its way a little bit and kind of rattle, because it is a pump that's pumping water into this, and this thing will be doing this and it can move this. So you want to make sure that this is nice and secure and that these are nice and clamped on there. Okay. All right. So when I was showing you guys the full display, this is a picture of two different ways. It's a picture of two different ways to basically drain the water. So like I was saying, I've seen people use sinks to drain their water into the sink, because really that water is going to the sewer anyways. Or on the left, my left, I guess that is actually going into a sewer outlet designed for your wash machine. Quite a bit of homes have it that way. My home's from the 50s, and I have a pipe that just runs up, just a metal pipe that the tube goes into. Same thing, it's basically the same thing as the one on the left. The one on the left just has this portion right here that comes off of that guy. It's just going straight down into the drain. There's no running it past to dump into a utility sink. That's basically what that is a utility sink in somebody's garage or in their laundry room. But you could do it either way. It's really just a matter of how you dump your laundry water that you don't want to use. Especially during like winter months, you really don't want to be using this during winter months. You already have so much saturation out there anyways, that you do want to just turn that valve to the direction so that it would go out into your sewer instead of having it down going out to your irrigation system. So that's what that would look like. This might need to be a little bit longer to reach into that drain line or that drain outlet, or it could not. That might work too. But the one on my right, the one that's going into the sink, you can see that it's pretty small. It's just basically dumping straight into the utility sink. I've seen that quite a bit. It's not a wrong way to do things. They just that's how that was just easier for them to do it that way. Okay, just some more pictures on the correct way to do things. The one on the right with the flexible tubing, you can do that if you like. I personally, that's going to have a little bit of, well, it is strapped to the wall. That vinyl tubing might have a little bit of flex to it, and it might wobble a little bit as the water is going through. They used that as just an easier way because it's flexible. Instead of doing a T around or an elbow around the wall and kind of doing more cuts and bringing it down into that drain outlet, they just use that flexible tubing, just like it's basically washer machine tubing is what they've used instead of going PVC all the way, which is fine. You're more than welcome to do that. And then the one on the left, that is a display of something that is very tight. I would not recommend doing that. That to me looks like they most likely have stackable washers in a tight location. So they did what they had to do to get a Greywater system in. That looks really tight to me. You don't want something that is so tight that you can't access it because you are going to need to turn that valve. Depending on, like I said, if it's the winter time, if you're using oily clothes, if you have children and their diaper and you're washing diapers, you are going to need to be able to access that valve. So I really would recommend not putting that valve in an area where it's going to be hard for you to reach or behind something. It's an example. I know it says it's other examples. Personally, that's an example I wouldn't recommend doing, but really at the end of the day, what works for you in a tight location is, it's the real world and you have to be realistic about things. So straps to hold things on. I've stressed it a couple times. It is important to make sure that it is strapped to the wall so that you don't get that vibration from the pump pumping the water through it. One thing that this doesn't show, that most of these pictures haven't shown, which I would actually recommend using. You don't have to as long as you're labeling these pipes, and that you'll see that later on in the slides. That is one of the requirements, that you do label with a sticker or something saying that it's non-potable drinking water, so that you know not to drink the water. But you can use purple pipe. Most of the time when you use purple pipe, that's for recycled water, but you can also use it for gray water. It does indicate to people that, hey, this is non-potable water. Especially if you're in the water industry, if you see purple pipe, you're going to know that that is not potable water, and that is either recycled water or gray water. So highly recommend using purple pipe when you're building your indoor and especially going outside. So not really the best examples because these have all white PVC, but if you want to use white PVC, it's perfectly fine. Like I said, just make sure you're labeling it correctly. Okay, not recommended. Kind of already went over this a little bit. That is a very tight location, and it's behind the wash machine. So you're going to be leaning over the wash machine constantly trying to work that valve. It's in a pretty tight location. It also has kind of a weird U. It's not really that big a deal to have that U. It is water after all. So, go for it. I think the main concern with this slide is the placement of the valve itself. You want to be careful about that. Okay, so three-way valve. One goes to your sewer, like I've already been kind of explained to you. That's what that red line is showing you guys. One goes to the sewer, one goes out to the irrigation system. The irrigation side has the anti-siphon valve. That's how you know it's going to the irrigation. The other side, the one with the red line, does not have your anti-siphon. You know that that portion is going to your sewer. All right, just some more examples. So like I was telling you guys, my house is from the 50s. That picture on the left with that pipe coming up, that's exactly how mine is at home. Perfectly fine. The one on the right, my right, would be another version. You do want to make sure that the fitting going into your sewer outlet is loose. You don't want to strap that thing down. You want to have a little bit of movement, wiggle room, because as that water is going through it, it's going to vibrate a little bit. Just not recommended to strap those things down. You want to have those be able to wiggle a little bit so you lose your vibration down at that end rather than somewhere else in the system that can work on a joint. Okay, your anti-siphon portion, I've kind of stressed this already. Anti-siphon portion is on the side that goes out to your irrigation system. Your three-way valve, water goes in, goes out to your irrigation system. Anti-siphon's there to keep that vacuum from happening. Okay, anti-siphon, which is this part that I've already kind of let you guys know about. Very, very important to have this. System will not work if you do not have this piece. You really, really have to have it. It's a critical piece. So like I said, it prevents a siphon from happening and a vacuum happening. All those are all the pieces that I've already showed you guys. Those are all the parts that you would be required to build your anti-siphon and also build the portion that goes out to your yard. So I've already shown you guys that section of it. Okay, more anti-siphon requirements. Must be visible and accessible in case of leaks. Must be the highest point, like I said before, must be the highest point in your system. Otherwise, you can get water actually coming out of it if it's lower. So you don't want that to happen. Must be placed on the landscaping side, also crucial. I've stressed that several times. Must be on the landscaping side. And then also more requirements, making sure that it is labeled. I've kind of already gone over that type of information with you, but it does need to be labeled so that you do know that it is non-potable water. Including operational manual. You do need to create an operational manual for your Greywater system and leave it with the actual system. It is one of the requirements to make it basically up to code so that you don't run into any troubles. You can take your own pictures and make notes. It doesn't have to be anything high tech. It is just a manual explaining how it works in case you sell your home and somebody moves in to your property and has this Greywater system that they've never used before. So it does need to be there with your system. And then no pump or potable water connection. If you start getting into pumping and storing, you do need permit requirements and filtration and all that type of stuff. So you don't want it. So no pump using and no potable water connection using, other than what's coming out of your washing machine, because obviously that's potable water. Now we get into something that is actually also very important, and that is the types of cleaners that you use. Liquid, so basically plant-friendly types of laundry detergent. You want to stay away from salt, boron, and chlorine types of laundry detergents. Liquid laundry detergent, you can get quite a bit of plant-friendly different types of laundry detergent. Hydrogen peroxide. You can it says on there that you can use hydrogen peroxide bleach, but I would probably steer away from that, to be completely honest. I would try to find a liquid detergent that is plant friendly, and kind of stay away from any types of hydrogen peroxide bleach types of chemicals. You get ozone systems that don't even require laundry detergent. Lots of really big commercial hotels and those types of places that do a lot of laundry actually have ozone. And ozone's an excellent way to clean your clothes without using detergent. I used to work for the city of Santa Rosa, and one of our techs, kind of more like one of my mentors, we used to call him the saint of the office because he had 12 special needs children that they all adopted. Well, because he had all these children, they were doing tons and tons of laundry, which then soap, hot water, all of those types of things. So he actually bought himself an ozone, a residential ozone machine, which you basically just hook into your wash machine, and it eliminates all hot water and all laundry detergent completely. He said he's never seen cleaner clothes ever. So that's actually one avenue you can go if you didn't want to use any types of laundry detergents at all. You could install it in an ozone machine. It's like a little box. And then things like I said to stay away from: salt, sodium compounds, common powder detergents, and fabric and water softener. Really, water softeners you want to make sure you stay away from, and also or fabric softeners, excuse me. And then any type of chlorine bleach you definitely want to stay away from. But salt and sodium compounds also you do want to stay away from. Fabric softener and chlorine bleach, you might just kill your plants right off the bat. The plants might not be able to handle it, and they'll just die. Salt and sodium compounds won't do the same thing to them. Over time, the salt compounds are going to build up in the soil, and then it will kill your plants. It's not going to happen overnight like something like chlorine bleach or fabric softener. Those most likely would take down your plants pretty fast. But the salt and sodium compounds, they build up in the soil and just contaminate the soil, and then the plant dies from it, because nothing really on our planet likes heavy doses of salt, unless you're a fish, I guess. So definitely those things you want to stay away from. All right, this is a full system overview. Just kind of shows you how it all works, and how I've already shown you the indoor portion, and then the outdoor portion, it's a little bit more just overview. You will see more slides farther down with closer pictures. I know that this is just a black and white, really overview, so it is what it is. All right, so hardscapes to consider. So like I was saying, you do need to have it either a flat surface or somewhat of a slope. Now, a lot of times you have to go across concrete to get it out somewhere. Now, what is that going to entail? Well, it's going to entail cutting the sidewalk or moving the bricks. Either way, that's kind of, unless you just want to run it straight across your sidewalk, where you have an area where you can run it across, or you have a gap in between your pavers or however. There's clever ways to disguise it, like that picture on the bottom with the multicolor tiles. Somebody cut that out and then installed all those multicolor tiles to kind of give it just a more of an artsy look, I guess, which isn't a bad idea. But you do need to get the water out to your yard somehow. Now, it doesn't always. There are plenty of situations where it doesn't have to run across a hardscape, but you do need to keep that in consideration based on where your wash machine is and the plants that you do want to water with that wash machine water. So just something to kind of keep into consideration, having to cut sidewalks or figure out a way around it, really. So just food for thought. All right, distribution points for your irrigation basins. So we're going to go over what these are. Distribution, you can use different types of distribution boxes, really. What I found that works excellent are these guys right here. This is just a irrigation control box. I just bought one of these for my house. I think it was $4.95 at Horizon. So relatively cheap, literally $5. What you would want to do is you'd set this down in you would dig a trench around your tree, which you'll see some pictures and diagrams of how you do it, but it's just a kind of a letting you see what it looks like at first. So you would want to drill a hole in the side of this thing so that you can run your tube through it. This top pops off so that you can kind of work with it and kind of adjust the flow, and I'll show you how you do that here in a second. But you drill a hole in this side, drill a hole in that side, and you would run your tube through this with your T in the middle, barb T in the middle, so you can tilt it up and down to reduce or increase the amount of flow that's pouring into your basin. So you would want to dig a trench or a basin around a tree or whatever area you're going to be delivering the water in. You then would set this down so it was flush with the ground, and then you'd work your tube. You'd have your tube coming off your wash machine that's coming through your yard, or your PVC pipe, or however you're going to deliver it across your yard. It would run through here and then on to your next basin. When you're doing a tree, you'd want to do like 3 of these so that you're delivering the proper amount of water to that tree. Because like I said earlier, typically they say 1 gallon of water per square foot of your basin. So you really need to know how much water is coming out of that wash machine. But I'll kind of set these up behind me so in a somewhat of a mock display so you can kind of see how it would work. All right, so this is a picture of one of the basins itself. So you dig a trench around, if it's a tree or whatever area you want this water to be delivered in, you would dig a trench around that area, and you would set that basin down in it. This one looks like you can kind of see on the one side, if you really look at it, that there's a T going into that little round irrigation box, and then the tube keeps going. That's one way you can do it, or like I said, you can get a hole saw or a hole drill and drill through and just run it through. That's another option. And then you fill that entire basin area with mulch or with wood chips, so that you basically fill in that area. And as that water pours into that irrigation box, or that looks like a reused plant pot, which is fine to use. A lot of people doing these types of projects really care about the environment, and they also want to recycle and reuse. Well, using pots, perfectly fine. A lot of times they just cut around the rim and leave just a small section of it attached so that the lid kind of flap up and down. That's another way to do it. You don't have to buy irrigation valve boxes. I just did because I've seen lots of projects done that way. Personally, my wife would want something she would really want something to look uniform, which is why I went with the irrigation boxes, to show the uniformity of it. But by all means, use pots if you'd like. Really, the idea of the pot or the irrigation box is a distribution location for that water. The tube goes in, the water pours into that box, and then filters out throughout that trench. And since you've filled that trench with all sorts of bark or mulch or whatever you're going to use, bark or mulch, as that water kind of filters out, it just filters and works its way through all that bark and kind of saturates everything. So that's how you really start to deliver your water out to your yard. And I do have some displays of the irrigation and also the teas that you would want to use for it. And then I also have some piping because you don't have to use PVC piping. I actually would recommend that you don't use PVC on your outdoor portion. I'll show you why in a second. The flexible tubing that you can get is commercial grade, is much thicker. You can get it at an irrigation supply house. Like I said, it's much thicker. I'll show you guys what it looks like, but it's flexible. So you can cut it with a PVC cutter, and you can make S's or do whatever you want. It's a little bit easier to use instead of making these straight lines or having to cut all these T's or elbows into your PVC. You can just work your way through it. So this right here is one of your distribution points. So I was telling you guys, it's the farthest distribution point on your system, because one of the most important things that you need to know is you cannot cap this system. So the very far in portion of your I guess it would be the very last irrigation box or pot that you use or whatever, your distribution point, the very far one has to be open. You have to leave it open, and so that if any of the other ones get clogged up, it has a place to dump that water instead of backing all the way up and backing into your wash machine. So make sure that you leave the very end of your outdoor irrigation line open. Okay, so that's a pretty good view of how the water just dumps into that distribution box and kind of can filter out. It's just going to be pouring and pouring, and as it's soaking out, it's going to just soak up all those. So the chips are going to soak it up, and it's kind of work its way around. And the plants and trees their roots will over time grow to those areas as they get saturated. You kind of want to think about your tree as the canopy. You dig this big base or this big trench around your tree. A lot of people water their trees or their bushes right at the stalk of the bush or the tree, which is completely the wrong way to water a plant. Typically, you want to water a plant at the edge of the canopy. That's where the roots that can really absorb water are, which is they're farther out. So if you look at the tree, if you're standing up, when the tree actually comes down, your canopy would be way out here. So you'd build your trench way out here, right at the edge of the canopy, and then you put your distribution boxes in, connect them with all that tubing, and you would work your way to your next section. These are just different models of what you can do, what type of boxes you can use. It doesn't have to be, like I said, an irrigation box. You can use recycled plant pots. The one on to the left, you can see it looks like a little nub going into that. Well, it's obviously a recycled plant pot. You can see that they just cut a small hole in that guy, which is perfectly fine too. You don't have to drill 2 holes and run the pipe through it. It's one way to do it. You can do it just like that one. The one on the left, when they just drill the hole in it and push that T, which looks like this. They push that T right into the side. So they drill the hole into the side and they push that guy right in there. Well, if you don't drill the hole big enough, you can't move your T up and down. You want to be able to move your T up and down, which is why I recommend drilling holes and running it through your irrigation box, because this is how you're going to adjust the flow into this. If you tilt it down, it's going to pour a lot more water out. If you tilt it up, it's going to dump less water out. So it's a way for you to leave it open without having a shut off on it, but monitor and regulate how much water is going into this box and into that irrigation basin. So one little key, drill holes, run it through instead of what they've done on that top left, instead of just drilling one hole and pushing this in. Now, if you're okay with that, then by all means, you can do it that way, but keep in mind, it's going to be harder for you to adjust the flow. So. All right, this is a display of what a mulch basin looks like. So like I said, you want to dig a trench around whatever you're doing, or a bigger diameter. Really want to dig a trench. You could just basically dig a basin, a circular basin, and fit that irrigation box in there and run your tube into it and have mulch all around it. This is a side view of one. That most likely is a trench. That would be a circle around whatever they're doing. Just with a trench, you get a little bit more even delivery of water and application, the saturation of how much water is being delivered. You're not getting really saturated on this side, less saturated on this side. That way, that's also based on how you would adjust those tees, because you want to have everything evenly saturated in the ground. But in any case, that's what that picture is. You can see that most of that is your mulch. So we got a big trough, big trench, irrigation box right in the middle of it, mulch all your pipe running into it, mulch all the way around. Just some more examples of it. Somebody put a ball valve on that guy. You can do ball valves, which would allow you to shut off the water going to that, I guess, mulch basin or distribution box. Now, it's okay to do that as long as it's not the last one. Now, remember, I said on the last one, you have to make sure you leave it open, because you don't want the water backing up if there's a clog somewhere. So if you want to do a ball valve shut off type of situation on one farther up the line, hey, that's up to you. It's a way for you to shut off water to that area and allow the water to flow farther down. When you do that, you are going to increase the flow downstream. So you do want to consider that as well. But as long as you're not using a shut off valve on the very end of your system, you can do that. All right, so like I've been telling you guys, you want to do a trench around it. They didn't do a full circular trench. It looks like they did a U, which is fine too. It's just not going to deliver the water evenly all the way around the tree. The tree's roots are going to grow more in that direction. But hey, you know what? Delivering it half or 3/4, I guess, is better than none. Gray water should not enter the storm drain. You want to make sure that it does not. There are some requirements that you do. Make sure gray water does not enter a storm drain. For clay soil, trench 1 square foot per 1 gallon of gray water production daily. So like I said before, one gallon of water really would saturate 1 square foot of soil. The rest of that is kind of self-explanatory. It needs a large enough area to contain all the gray water. So if your wash machine's an older one, you're dumping 40 gallons of water. You don't want to, dump 40 gallons of water on one tree. You'd want it to be bigger. So make sure you're thinking about the distribution size or area that you are going to be delivering the water and how much it is too. So this is just some more examples of how much water you are going to be basically delivering out to your yard. So 4 loads of laundry on Saturday at 15 gallons, that's 60 gallons of water on Saturday. 1 gallon of water, or 1 gallon needs 1 square foot of basin. 60 gallons of gray water in one day is going to require 60 square feet of needed basin area. So very important to know how much water is coming out of your wash machine. If it's 40 gallons or if it's 15 to 20, very important. You don't want to undersize, you don't want to overbuild your gray water system outdoors to a point where you're not watering the stuff farther down. If all the water is coming out in your first 3 basins and you have 6 basins, then there's 3 basins that aren't getting any water. So you really need to know that. So this right here is it's a way for you to break your indoor piping that goes out to your outdoor piping, because you do want to be able to flush your system. You want to flush your system like once a year. You just want to hook your hose up to it and pour it out and flush it out. So this guy right here is what it looks like. So this side would hook up to your outdoor hose that would run out to your outdoor. This is the indoor that would hook into your indoor portion. But what this does is you can unscrew it. Separate your indoor portion, and then you can unscrew this portion, and you can get a connection piece that connects to here and then connects to your hose, and you would just flush everything out of your system. Because you know, wash machines, you have lint, you have hair, especially throw my wife under the bus here, but she is one of those culprits that I would definitely need this for. It's man, she sheds like crazy. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a way to flush your system so that it doesn't clog up with hair and also lint. So that's what this guy is. I think the next slide shows the actual connection pieces that you'll need for the hose to go onto your system. So bottom left and bottom right pictures, those are the pieces that you would actually need to connect your hose basically to that outdoor portion of your irrigation system. Pretty easy pieces to get just in the irrigation area. If anybody needs like a list really of what to buy or parts, you can get my email address from Ashley. Just type it in the chat and she can give you my email address, and I can come up with a list of parts that you will need, you know, tees and those types of things, including all the connection pieces for your outdoor, to connect your outdoor portion. So this guy right here, this is exactly what we're talking about for your flushing system. So a lot of times people are going to put this vertical. Now it's going to make it a little bit easier for them to break those two connections apart, because if it's this way, you're going to have a little bit of wiggle room to unscrew, kind of move it off to the side, because it's up and down. If it's laying on the ground, you're going to have a little bit harder time. So I did just include these pictures actually today, so you could see that it is possible to do it vertical. I recommend doing it vertical, and it doesn't look too bad. The one on the left has that purple pipe that I was recommending, and then the one on the left, I'm sorry, my left, and then the one on the right is just regular PVC with tubing coming off it going out to the yard. So this tubing I've been talking about, a lot of people use PVC. I don't recommend using PVC. I recommend using this stuff right here. I'm going to actually plug a guy named Chris Reamer. Chris Reamer is very, very knowledgeable on Greywater systems. That's what he does for on big scale stuff. And he actually uses this. This is how I found out about this stuff. Sticky stuff all over it. But you can kind of see that it's much thicker. It's much thicker tubing. This isn't the standard stuff you would buy at the Home Depot, the 1-inch drip tubing type stuff. That's not what this is. This is thicker tubing that you would need to get from an irrigation supply store. I know that Horizon, I'm pretty sure Horizon here in Napa sells it, and I'm almost positive I got this at Wyatt. Wyatt's over there on Solano and Salvador, right there on the corner. They have, I believe that's where I got my throughway valve as well. So you can get all of these parts from either Horizon or Wyatt. You can get everything you need from those two places. This tubing, it's much more flexible. I mean, it's still stiff because of how thick it is. If you leave this in the sun, it's going to soften up and you're going to be able to bend it much easier. I wouldn't leave it in the sun forever, of course, you know, an hour or so just to kind of heat it up before you use it. But this, excellent to use. And you can cut it with just a regular PVC, you know, pipe cutter. And then this T fits right into it, right in there. And because it's barbed, It's not going to come out. And then you put this, basically you run it through your valve box, and then you just move it up and down to figure out your flow for that basin. So this right here is highly, highly recommended. What's that? Okay, plant selection. All right, so like I was saying earlier, plant selection is important. Trees, shrubs, bushes, vines, perennials, large annuals, it's excellent for those. Vegetables, not so much. Any type of root-based vegetable you do not want to use Greywater for. Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Sorry about that, guys. That black tubing had some glue, I guess the tape glue all over it. It got all over me. So yes. All right. So sorry about that. So like I said, trees, shrubs, bushes, vines, perennials, large annuals, excellent for. Not so much for vegetables. If you want to do it for like a tomato plant or peppers, that would work. But direct contact root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, probably wouldn't even do it on onions. All of those types of things you want to stay away from. You don't want Greywater to be touching your vegetables. Now also keep in mind, you do need to deliver this 2 inches below the surface, which is what those irrigation valve boxes basically do. It allows you to deliver it 2 inches below ground. You also need to have a nice thick mulch basin to help spread out that water. But plant selection, very key. If you do end up using it for potatoes or carrots, you are going to be getting you can be getting pathogens like different, well, I wouldn't say pathogens because that's like blood and that type of stuff, but you are going to be getting all sorts of germs and stuff like that. So that's been washed off your clothes onto your vegetables, and it's just not a good idea. So I would highly recommend staying away from that. But hey, tomatoes, peppers, that type of stuff you can do. It works excellent on fruit trees. Fruit trees I would highly recommend. If you have a lot of fruit trees, it works really, really good on fruit trees. And plus, you can do that and get a nice large basin, circular basin around a fruit tree. So excellent for Greywater. Kind of already went over that stuff. Tomatoes, okay. Chard's okay. Potatoes, onions, strawberries, no. Artichokes, yes. Because they're above ground fruiting types of vegetables. Strawberries is kind of weird that they say no on strawberries, but that's probably because a lot of them lay on the soil. And if the soil is getting saturated, and transfer over. So I'd probably stay away from that. Like I said, fruit trees, excellent for fruit trees. Plus it's easy to build a basin around them. And then setback requirements. This is actually important to know. Because you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble if you're not following these setback requirements. So 1.5 feet away from your property line, that way it's not leaving your property and flooding your neighbor. 2 feet from your building, 100 feet from any type of waterway or well, 5 feet away from your septic tank, 4 feet away from your leaching field, and 3 inches above a groundwater table. So you don't want those germs and everything getting into the groundwater table. Okay, let's sum it all up. Buried tubing, check for leaks. Paint exposed piping, seal holes. Post advisory and discretionary signs. Post maintenance manuals, and Greywater friendly soap. Those are the real main things you need to focus on. I understand that this is a pretty rough crash course in a Greywater system. So if you do have any looming questions after tonight, you're more than welcome to ask questions at the end of this. But if you do have any looming questions that didn't get answered, or if you even need help, building it, or questions, or I'll more than welcome or more than willing to come out to your house and answer questions or make recommendations or any of that type of stuff. So You know, like I said, tonight's really meant to just get you really familiar with it, with the idea of Greywater. But if you need future help with it, I am willing to help you in the future as well. You know, complying with codes, we've kind of already gone over all this. It's kind of, it's the same thing that the previous slide. It's more just checklist stuff. Having a three-way valve installed, you know, is it visible? Is it accessible? Is it labeled correctly? You know, all those types of things you know, having a manual, an anti-siphon, you know, all those things we've already talked about. So that's just really a reminder, I guess. Then complying with codes, you know, system check, will the Greywater be contained on site? All discharge points, you know, comply with setback requirements. Setback requirements, we already went over the you know, 1.5 feet of property line all the way down to the 3 feet above, you know, a groundwater table, you know, all those types of setback codes. And then lastly, the recommending this websites. Both of these websites are excellent for any types of information you need on your irrigation system. Excellent sites. The Oasis design, I think that actually is the website that we bought your books. The winners, the two winners prizes. I believe that comes from his website. I believe his name is Art Ludwig. It's kind of like founder of, and no, I wouldn't say founder, but he is one of the really well-known Greywater people in the industry. So, and then I do kind of want to show you how I do kind of want to just lay out what because I realize I didn't do that as far as the outdoor basin section. So I'm going to do that really quick.
So you have to stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop sharing. All right, perfect. So how you would do this for a tree. I would do something like this. Now it's going to be a circle, obviously. Your irrigation circle would be like that. Your trench itself, you know, these would set in. This would be ground level. It would sit in. And you take your tubing. You take your tubing and your T, and you'd run them through each. You'd run them through each one using your T's to adjust the flow. So that's really, without cutting this tube to show you, that's kind of what it would, in a rough example, it would be like that. And then your T, you would cut it obviously, and your T would sit inside, and you would just be able to adjust the flow that way. That's really how I would do it. I would use 3 on a tree basin, especially fruit trees. Fruit trees are pretty thirsty, and they're, like peaches. Peaches love water. I would recommend doing 3. That way, it kind of distributes the water evenly in that circle. So I know that's not the best display of how to set it up. Hopefully, you got a better idea of that through the slides, through looking at the slides. If you do want to have this PowerPoint presentation, if you email, actually, I don't know if I can send it. It's a pretty big file. Oh yeah, so you can watch it. Yeah, so you can watch it on YouTube, on RCD website, and then also on the City of Water Conservation website as well for the City of Napa. Thanks for that plug. Thanks for reminding me of that. Okay. What's that? Oh yeah, yeah. So I just I went back to share my screen. So we're basically through the slideshow and the presentation. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them now. Go ahead, type them in, and Ashley will let me know. Okay. All right. I'll just wait for your questions.
Okay, so actually, if you wouldn't mind stopping your share screen, that way people can see your face when you're answering the questions. That would be awesome. And we do have a few questions for you. First question, they came from starting kind of right away in the beginning. So throwing it back to the beginning of the presentation, Carmen asks, what was the brand of the 0.8 gallon toilet that you mentioned?
Oh, it's a Niagara Stealth Assist. So it's a pressure assist toilet. It uses pressure to kind of push that water out. It's kind of like an airplane toilet, except it's not loud like an airplane toilet. I realize that the airplane's just like whoosh. It doesn't do that. It's just kind of the same concept that uses pressure to help push that water out of the bowl and into your sewer line. But yeah, Niagara Stealth Assist. You can get them at Home Depot. $165 is what I paid for each one of my toilets.
Oh, nice. Question from Reiner. What is the reason why washing your dishes and vegetables in the sink is considered black water instead of gray water?
You know, just because of germs and, well, I mean, there's germs and things like that on your clothes. You know, food particles and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest, why they wouldn't allow. I mean, really has to do with building a gray water system. I mean, you need to be able to store it. You really need to be able to store it because you're not going to just have an open hose going straight out to your yard right off your sink. Most likely you'd be wanting to store it and then pump it out somewhere else. So that's most likely one of the reasons. They also say it can go black on you, which means go septic. But I mean, I don't personally store kitchen water, so I don't know how fast it goes bad. But if you do, if you're washing dishes and things like that, and you got food and all sorts of stuff, that water is going to get gross really fast. And that's probably also another reason why they would say. I'm sorry, I'm sorry I can't answer that question. To be honest, I don't want to tell you the wrong information. I will look that up, and I'll get your contact from Ashley, and I'll find out because I know you work at the RCD. And I will find out for you and have an answer for you on that question. But you know, those things that I said are my assumptions of why they wouldn't do it. A, you'd need a permit and you'd need that system, and B, food debris and rotting, especially meat, that type of stuff, you really no bueno to send out to the yard.
Right.
So sorry I couldn't answer that better.
That's okay. The offer of being able to contact somebody later, that fixes every problem. So
yeah, I mean, I have no problem finding out and getting a reliable source, an answer from a reliable source. I have no problem doing that at all.
Great. So I'll hook the two of you up. So second question, also from Rainer, does the city have a list of certified gray water contractors that they can access online?
Man, you're asking me all the tough questions. No, we do not. I could get you in contact with one of the best gray water people probably in the industry that can help you build a system. Chances are you probably know him already. I don't know. Ashley, do you know Chris Reamer? No?
Sorry, no, I do not. Not personally.
Okay. Well, maybe then maybe you don't know him. But we don't have a list of contractors that do gray water. However, we do periodically. I'm going to go ahead and plug this now for you, Ashley. We are thinking about doing in the future a direct home installation So not last year, I guess the year before, or maybe the year before that, not 100% sure. It's been the last couple of years. We did a workshop at somebody's home where we got all sorts of volunteers. We also hire a third party. It wasn't Chris Reamer last time. It was a gal that came out, very knowledgeable. She knew exactly what she was doing. I wish I remember her name, but it was like 3 years ago. But in any case, plugging it now, once this COVID stuff kind of dissipates off, hopefully sooner than later, because I know everybody's getting sick of this COVID stuff. I know I am. I got a 9-month-old that I can't even take to the park. So I'm really looking forward to that getting over. But once it is over, we are looking to do a direct install. One where they film it. No. So it's a direct install. So we get a volunteer, basically we get quite a few people that volunteer usually when we open it up, and we have to decide one person that gets it. And then we have a bunch of volunteers come. We hire a third person, and we go out to their home, and we actually do a full installation of a Greywater system at no cost to the homeowner. Basically, the cost is them letting us use their home to do a Greywater workshop for the community and for other people that want to come out and see it. So plug in that now. Hopefully in the future we'll get that up and going. But chances are we probably get Chris Reamer. Like I said, he helps us with other courses too. We do something called Quell, and I know he helped us with Quell. I'm pretty sure that was Chris that helped us with that. But he also does rainwater harvesting. He has all the licenses to do the installation of gray water and recycled water or rainwater harvesting and all that type of stuff. The guys were really smart and can build excellent systems. So no, there isn't a list, but yes, I can get you in contact with somebody that will build you an excellent system.
Yeah, and if you're not already on our Napa RCD email list, as soon as that program does get put together, we'll help kind of spread the word for that. So if you want to get added to our list, if you're not already, feel free to send me your email in a chat, either through Zoom or on a Facebook message. And we'll make sure that you get that information when the time comes, hopefully, like you said, sooner rather than later. Next question from Maureen. Is there a minimum height for the vertical pipe that connects the horizontal pipe and the anti-siphon system?
No, it just needs to be the highest point. So there isn't a height. I would recommend, making it at least, that's, I don't have a measuring tool, but it's an arm length. I mean, it's probably 10 inches or more. You just want to make sure it's the highest point to your system, above your wash machine, obviously. But no, there is not a height requirement for the anti-siphon, just as long as it's at the highest point so that water can't back up and basically flow out. Because if it's real low, if it's lower than your wash machine, I mean, the water has a pretty good chance of coming out of the anti-siphon. So you want to make sure it's up above the highest point so that it breaks the vacuum so that water can't basically come out.
Next question is from Carol. Do you know the name of that residential ozone system that you were talking about?
Oh man. I don't. I've worked for Napa for almost 6 years, and unfortunately I can't contact my mentor because he passed away. So yeah, I would just Google it. Unfortunately.
That's a perfectly fine answer.
Sorry. Believe me, I would rather have my mentor on the planet than be able to call him.
Yes.
It was a tough pill to swallow. I lost both my mentors in 6 months.
Yeah, hold on one
Yeah,
second, Josh. Your video is stuck, so let me.
I know it is. I got a funny look on my face.
That's always when it pauses. We still
I
have
know.
audio, which is great. If you want to get rid of your face, you can go ahead and share your screen and go to that questions.
I'm not worried about it. I can look stupid.
Okay, well, let's keep on going. We only have a couple more questions. So next question is from Carmen. Can you use baking soda in a Greywater system? And I assume
I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, if people are using hydrogen peroxide,
right.
then I mean, people use baking soda to brush their teeth and
right.
Yeah, and I mean to clean. So I would imagine you probably could. I've never had that question before, but I don't see why you couldn't, to be honest. It doesn't have a salt base or a boron base, so you're not going to have the buildup. You want to stay away from anything that's going to build up in your soil, like salts and boron. I mean, that's really, if you don't get that first initial kill on your plant from a chlorine or a bleach dump on them, then you're gonna kill them over time. They're gonna just go downhill and go downhill and go downhill and go downhill until they're because of buildup of salts. So you just want to make sure that really that baking soda is not going to build up in your soil.
Right. Okay, and so far this is our last question. Oh, nope, just kidding. That's somebody sending me their email address. That's not a question. So that was all of our questions that we have so far. Let me do a quick check on Facebook. It looks like we are all good on Facebook too. So this is your last chance to add questions. I just want to, reiterate again, if you would like to be added to the Napa RCD email list, when we do partner programs with City of Napa, the Water Division, and the library, we always try and advertise those. It went out a little bit late today, I will say, around 5 o'clock this afternoon, but we try and advertise all of those through our email list, so feel free to let me know if you want to get added to that list.
Yeah, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to hear me talk about Greywater stuff. I mean, I realize it's 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and I'm sure you got a TV show you could be watching or something, but instead you want to spend it with me, and I feel I'm very appreciative that you guys spent the time to want to learn about something that can benefit the environment and also yourself. So
yes,
greatly appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't see any more questions coming in. So I just want to go ahead and say again, thank you everyone for joining us. And I do want to plug our next Wild Napa, which is the H2O superhero program that Ann mentioned in the beginning. Our next one is going to be on November 18th at 7 p.m. And it's going to be all about our brand new kind of revamped Streamwatch citizen science program right here in Napa County. So we're really excited for that. Napa RCD hydrologist Paul Blank is going to be our speaker. So we're really excited for that. It is shifted, in case you are really aware of the schedule that we typically keep to. There is a holiday the second Wednesday of the month, so we moved it to the third Wednesday of the month for November. So just be aware, and we hope to see you then. And again, I'll just echo Josh. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a lovely rest of your evening, everyone.
We got one question. Is that a finger up?
Justin, do you have a question? Let me unmute you here.
Thank you. You hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. This is the last one of the Zoom meeting, or is this going to be next one?
Ask that question one more time.
The next one. Is this the last one of the H2?
Of the H2O superhero workshops? Is
Yes.
it the last one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Now, Anna,
Yeah.
my question is, I'm so sorry, I've missed all the class, and